Today, we are sharing our unpopular opinion on herbs, trendy herbs that we don't use in clinical practice.
If I'm going to go to a store that sells crack pipes and cigarettes, that's not where I'm purchasing my herbal remedies. Just a general rule of thumb.
I could see how Alicia and I could easily come off as some herbal conspiracy theorist or something.
It's the most anti-inflammatory plant on the planet, is what I saw in an Instagram post recently. Welcome to Herbalism Uncensored, the podcast where we dig deep into the world of herbalism and natural healing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Lila. We're two clinical herbalists who recognize the need for honest and authentic conversations about the state of natural healing today. As practitioners, we feel called to have uncensored discussions about why people aren't finding relief and what to do about it.
If you're frustrated by lack of results, overwhelmed by conflicting advice online, disillusioned by the commercialization of wellness, or simply passionate about natural healing, you're in the right place.
This podcast is our way of cutting through the noise, busting myths, and challenging marketing gimmicks.
This is Herbalism Uncensored,
where together we're nurturing the future of natural healing.
The contents of this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to be a substitute in any way for professional medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. It's important that you always seek the advice of your physician or other licensed healthcare provider with any questions or concerns you may have regarding a medical condition.
Welcome. Today, we are sharing our unpopular opinion on herbs, trendy herbs that we don't use in clinical practice. Why are you laughing?
I'm thinking on this Mercury Retrograde's episode of Herbalism Uncensored.
Oh my gosh. It might be a miracle if we don't have mic or sound issues.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of the last time we recorded with Mercury Retrograde. So, we're going to talk about some of the trendier things that we hear a lot about that we just don't really use much. And we don't use them much, not because they're not good herbs or they're bad herbs, because I think all herbs have value. All plants have value. But there are other things that we have access to that do these things better, do these things more effectively, do them with a lower dose, do them at a lower price, do them faster.
I think like the world of herbalism is so vast and big and rich, and what we end up seeing online in social media, on blogs, are these handful of herbs that get trendy. They get really, really popular, and those are the herbs that are in everybody's face and that we continually hear about, and we turn to these herbs expecting certain results, and those results aren't necessarily going to be there because of what's happening, why they're trendy, what people are grasping onto when using them, and then what actually works in reality. So before we kind of dive into the handful of herbs that we're going to talk about today, I think we should set the stage on just kind of some of the constraints on working as a clinical herbalist and picking herbs and what we look for when we are putting together a formula. I think that would be really helpful for people.
I like that. Yeah. So when I'm putting together a formula, and I want to be clear that when I say formula, I give people a sheet of paper that could have anywhere from 3 to 7 different herbs on it. And they might be taking grams or ounces of each of these things each day. And to me, that is the formula. So, and you can only put so many herbs in a formula. If I give somebody, I try not to give people more than 5 because they're not going to get it all in. Probably, if I give them more than 5 items, unless they're really dedicated. I have to consider a lot of things. I have to consider their lifestyle. What can they get in a day? If they have to make teas, how much tea can they make in a day? How are they going to fit that into their lives? How many grams, how many capsules, how many spoonfuls of powder are they swallowing? And how much does it cost? We had, you assisted me on a case last week where we had a woman who, what was her budget was maximum $50 a month. And
that was a tight one.
Well, and I think we actually got it because we gave her mostly food options. You have to buy food anyway, so I figured that food is free. And we gave her some of my discounts, some of my wholesale discounts, and we got it down. It was about $36 for the month for her, which was pretty awesome.
That's impressive. That's very impressive. And you bring up really good points. There are practical constraints when putting together formulas. When people come to see Alicia and I think they're wanting results. They want to feel something measurable in their bodies, and that's also something I take in consideration is okay, we have limited finances, energy, logistical constraints. People want results. And then we also have to consider, like you said, pricing. Can we source it? Can we source it on a timely timetable? Is it going to be effective? Do we have any proof in our world that what we pick is going to be effective, whether that's clinically, traditionally, or scientifically? And then there's, dose constraints. Some people only want tea, some people only want capsules, some people only want powders, and it's like this. It's a bit of a puzzle, actually.
Well, there are a lot of things to consider, and I didn't even think about results because that goes without saying. Like, yes, someone's coming to see me because they want to feel better. Everyone wants to feel better. That's why, I mean, that's kind of like what drives us to do any of these things. Why are you changing your diet? Why are you going to yoga? Why have you decided to take that run? Why have you decided to join that challenge? Oh, do you want to feel better? Because that's my goal is that everyone who comes to see me feels better afterwards.
Well, and I agree with you. And I specifically bring up people wanting results because I think by the time most people get around to seeing me, at least, and I'm sure you probably experience this too, they might already take a lot of herbs and supplements and they don't know if they're working. And people have this fear that they're going to invest more time and energy and resources and they're not going to know if it's working still. Like I see it's just like weariness and people, it hurts my heart a little bit because they want these things to work and they do work, but they're not getting to see the results yet.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm thinking about one person who came to me and had a list of about 30 different things that she was taking and felt bad in about 20 different ways. Yeah, people want something that works. And we've talked ad nauseum
And
about why things don't work, right? So it's the wrong form, it's the wrong dose. You're not taking it long enough. Usually, I see people who are taking a lot. Oftentimes, I see people who are taking really good things at like tiny, tiny subclinical doses where I'm like, yeah, this would help you if you took it at this dose every day for 10 years. And then there's all the trendy stuff that don't
the trendy
that don't
stuff.
do harm. I don't think they do harm. These are cool plants, but they're not as effective as Instagram would make you think.
Yeah, they're not harmful in the way that you take this and something bad happens, but I think that they're a little bit, and harmful is a strong word, but I think when people want the things to work and they take the things and then they don't work, then we get this doubt in natural medicine. And that's harmful because it is so effective. And when people lose hope or faith, then they lose their openness to keep exploring and working with it. And then they'll never get to see those benefits. And it has so many benefits to offer.
Okay, do you want to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. What's our first herb?
What is our first herb?
It's maca.
Maca.
It's maca. Actually, this is funny because before I seriously started studying clinical herbalism, I would take a lot of maca.
Really?
I
What's a
did, yep.
lot?
I would put it, oh, like I would take it every day.
Okay.
I was probably taking like a teaspoon every day,
Okay.
putting it in the smoothie and regularly including it in what I was doing, expecting results for my menstrual issues, which are pretty complex and rooted at this point. And it's one of those things where like I did it because the internet said it was good. I wanted the benefits. I probably couldn't tell you if it ever worked or ever noticed anything. It certainly did not get my hormones balanced or my libido back.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got distracted because I have an article here called The Rise and Fall of Maca in China. This is back in 2015. The maca craze had reached its peak in China. It was being promoted on television for its ability to increase energy levels, improve sexual function, enhance longevity. Among many other claimed benefits, people were crossing over to Hong Kong to buy up imported Peruvian maca at exorbitant prices. Wholesale prices were $50 a kilogram for the lowest grades on the market. Specialized maca stores had sprouted up at the airport. Maca billboards lined the roads, and even urinals in the men's room were adorned with ads for maca.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I remember maca got really popular here, and it's still really popular if you go on the internet or listen to people in the wellness space. And it's really popular for things like hormone balance, fertility, libido, and energy. And it is, quote unquote, an adaptogenic herb.
Well, see, and I think that it has that kind of potential, but this is my take on it, is because traditionally it's been used in the Peruvian Andes, and they have their own traditional plant medicine there. So, where are the herbalists from Peru whose family have been herbalist in Peru for 5 generations, 10 generations, and how do they use it? And at what dose are they using it? And in what form are they using it? They do things like air dry it and use it to sweeten breakfast and make rum out of it and things like that. And here we are trying to use it the way we would use ashwagandha, right? Are they dicking around with the maca the way they dick around with the ashwagandha?
Well, they might be. And my take on these things is we've seen it with a couple different, I'm going to call it a superfood. We've seen it with a couple different superfoods.
Like goji berries.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly what came to mind. All of a sudden, goji berries were the cure-all. Now maca's the cure-all. And in a couple weeks, it's trying to think of another exotic food that has gained popularity.
Well,
acai, like
Nigella sativa. It's coming up.
spoiler. Yeah. Well, and so when it comes to the clinical reality of using maca, I believe it to be mild and food-like. And we don't know that it's actually an adaptogen. It hasn't gotten true adaptogenic status. So we throw that word around, and Alicia and I decided that adaptogens are going to get their own dedicated episode. But this isn't something that I would expect to produce a measurable clinical effect or result. It's non-specific, but we're asking it to do specific things, I think.
Well, I think traditionally it's been used to increase stamina and sexual virility, potency, you could say. And so we're toting it as a hormone balancer. It's like, well, we don't really know what it does to hormones. What we do know, and as I dug into the studies that have popped up for maca, and there's been some promise to improve symptoms of antidepressant induced sexual dysfunction in women. And they've done some good double-blind placebo studies that have shown that it helps with sexual dysfunction in post-menopausal women, but not women of childbearing age. And where was it? It wasn't this. The authors conclude that maca root may alleviate antidepressant-induced sexual dysfunction. They acknowledge that a larger study is needed to confirm the findings.
When we're talking about all the things it does, fertility, libido, energy, minus the hormone balancing, my brain is thinking about and like Rasayana food and like foods that are just nourishing, and they help with these functions just by like nourishing the body. So like in my head, I'm just like, wow, it's like eating dates, because dates are a very good sexually enhancing, energy boosting, right? Like it's sugar, it's nutrients, it's fruit, it's very easy to digest, it's substantial. Like those are the parallels I'm drawing between maca and dates, which we would use similarly for a lot of these things.
Yeah, rich in carbohydrates. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just if somebody came to me with hormone dysregulation or sexual dysfunction, maca would not be my go-to.
Yes, same. Because there's things that I know can do these things better, and I have validation traditionally, clinically, and scientifically that they will work. Maca, I don't have those things. Well, I would never tell somebody not to take maca because I think it would be an addition, detract from anything anyone's trying to do. It just with the constraints and a protocol, it wouldn't be on the A, B, or C list.
Well, and there you go. Exactly. I think I love what you said there. I like that you compared it to Rasayana foods because I would never tell someone not to eat dates. I would never tell someone, not to drink lassi. These are nourishing, building foods, and maca it seems to be something that's nourishing and building. And so it would always be a great addition, not something that would take away. But if I wanted to get some real clinical results and get them quickly, I have other things that have more oomph at a lower dose. If you have something that's food like, I mean, apparently it's kind of like a radish. It's some kind of a tuber. And you think about how much you would have to get in order to get results from, a radish. It's very food like.
Exactly. All right. So if you like your maca, keep liking your maca. But if you come pay to see Alicia and I, we're gonna give you the we're gonna give you something else. All right. I heard number two can cure cancer and actually just about anything under the sun.
That black seed oil. I remember it was probably about 5 years ago, the first time the lady who did my bikini wax, she asked me if I took black seed oil and wanted to talk to me about black seed oil and the wonders of black seed oil and how it was just taking care of everything in her life. Yeah, because it's supposed to, it's the most anti-inflammatory plant on the planet, is what I saw in an Instagram post recently.
There's a pretty well respected, he's a chiropractor. He's very big on YouTube and shares a lot of health information. And I watched one of his videos with this is 1 teaspoon of this a day is the most anti-inflammatory thing you can ever do. And it was black seed. And I was absolutely floored. According to the trends, black seed is super popular for inflammation, immune health, long COVID, allergies. A spoonful of black seed oil will fix whatever you got. It's the cure all for everything.
Okay, so yeah, that's I'm looking at another from one of the Instagram posts you sent me. Painkilling, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-ulcer, antifungal, antihypertensive, antioxidant, antispasmodic, antiviral, bronchodilator, anti-diabetic, liver protective, hypotensive, insulin sensitizing, interferon inducer, kidney protecting, alpha inhibitor. And yeah, according to the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, it's basically used the way coriander is used. It's for loose stool, flatulence, bloating, abdominal pain, and anal itching.
It's probably a good time to bring up that plants have a bunch of constituents, like thousands of constituents. One plant has a bunch of different things in it that do a bunch of other things. And so when you look in herb books and you follow all this information online, you can look up a single plant and see that it does 10 different actions. It's anti-inflammatory. It works on your liver. It makes you sweat. It makes you sleepy. It heals wounds, whatever the list is. But I think it's really important that we acknowledge just because a plant is said to do 10, 15 different things doesn't mean it does them well. And it could be capable or have the potential to do these things based on these thousands of constituents, but these plants usually only do one or two things really well. And we get these long lists of, hey, look, this black seed will do everything under the sun, but it probably won't actually do any or most of it in a clinically or meaningful way.
Well, I mean, I think that we could say that everything, pick a plant that's not antioxidant. Bell pepper is antioxidant. Bell pepper is anti-inflammatory. I'm not going to use it for my cirrhosis of the liver. If I've got, trying to think of like a horrible inflammatory condition like pancreatitis, I'm not going to treat it with bell pepper. Or so Nigella sativa can definitely be anti-inflammatory, But, and taking a teaspoon of the oil every day isn't going to hurt you. Or taking a teaspoon of the seed every day isn't going to hurt you. And it'll probably only help you. But is it clinically effective when you have an issue that's pathological? Probably not.
Yeah, if I have long COVID and I take a teaspoon of black seed oil every day, could I realistically expect that to fix my long COVID? I think the answer is probably no.
Well, I want to go like all left field and be like, well, if you really believe that it's going to be the thing that'll do it, it just might, because the mind is so powerful and the body is so amazing. But at the same time, what I find really interesting is that I don't know who makes these posts on Instagram that says that it's, you know, the most anti-inflammatory thing on earth, more so than turmeric, or that it's, what was that long list of things that I listed off of all the things that it does, when I look at a source that I trust, like the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, and it says, well, really, we use it for gas and bloating and itchy butthole. It's like, okay, yeah. So would I perhaps possibly put it in a protocol at some point? Perhaps, if I thought it made the protocol better. Have I ever? No. Do I know 15 things that work fabulously for loose stools, gas, and bloating? Yes.
Yes. So take it, but don't expect miracles, is what I'm hearing.
Don't expect miracles. And we have to be diverse in our use of herbs. That's something that we haven't mentioned so far, is that, if everyone takes the same thing, we're going to run out. If everybody who's interested in herbal medicine and has bloating or liver congestion takes black seed, and everyone with hormonal problems takes maca, there's just not enough for everybody to get what they need, even if they did work the way they're reported to or purported to.
You bring up a good point, and I think that's one of the challenges with the trendy herbs is they get trendy, and then we have a list that comes out like that says these herbs do 20 different things, and so people with any of those 20 different things lean on that herb for that, when that's not an appropriate herb for what they're trying to accomplish, and then it does lead to prices spiking and over harvesting, and kind of wrecks the market in a lot of ways. So I think that's really just what we want to draw attention to, is the complications of how we're viewing these herbs, how they're getting marketed and advertised to us, what the expectations actually should be when using these herbs, and the just realities of this entire situation.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's next? Oh, milk thistle.
Milk thistle was my inspiration for this episode because I work with a lot of people, and they're mostly women, who come to me already on milk thistle, and they've made the connection that they have menstrual issues or PMS or something that ties back to liver. And milk thistle is for whatever reason, it's become the liver darling herb in the wellness world. So anytime people think that the liver is involved, they turn to milk thistle. And it's one of the first things that I take people off of, and I don't ever, I haven't ever, and I could see some scenarios that Alicia will probably touch on where milk thistle would be a top choice. But if you have liver issues, milk thistle is not your herb. I'm so sorry.
I think you're right. I think milk thistle has become like the Western darling for all things liver. And I'm going to go back to, I was in my ABC, it's the American Botanical Council clinical guide to herbs earlier. And I'm just going to revisit what we were talking about earlier, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that this explains why it's such a darling. So this book was a little bit old. This is from Mark Blumenthal. So if for anybody who is interested in herbalism and interested in some good resources, please check out the American Botanical Council. You can find them. It's abcherbalgram.org. They are a hub and an amazing resource for all things herbal medicine, located in Austin, Texas. And they have an amazing database with all the studies, all the traditions. And yeah, this is what they had to say when they printed this book about milk thistle. It's been used in European medicine for over 2,000 years to treat liver and biliary tract diseases. In 1998, $180 million was spent on milk thistle preparations just in Germany. In 2000, milk thistle ranked 11th in sales of all herbal products sold in food, drug, and mass market outlets, reaching about $9 million in retail sales. This was 25 years ago, y'all. With an estimated 50 clinical studies involving over 2,400 patients carried out using a proprietary milk thistle preparation from Germany, as this expensive silymarin extract, which is oftentimes what you'll find if you're looking for it. It's perhaps the best documented therapeutic agent available to treat various types of liver intoxication. And that's exactly what it is. It is a hepatoprotective. It protects from liver intoxication. And after you and I were talking, we looked at the primary uses for milk thistle. All has to do with toxins. It's alcoholic liver cirrhosis, infectious hepatitis, drug-induced hepatitis, and alcoholic liver disease. It's not something I would ever use to help somebody who had hormonal imbalance or menstrual issues connected to the liver. There are so many other things that do an amazing job at that at a lower dose and a lower price point.
We might actually have to do a liver episode at some point. I think the liver is like the unsung hero of the body, and it does like 100 different things. It's a very cool and fascinating organ that's prone to a lot of issues. And I think one of the most common issues that we see with the liver is it gets congested. It can't keep up on its detox responsibilities in the body. And so most of the time when we're talking about liver issues, that is what is being referred to. When we talk about the liver and the link to hormone imbalances, the liver's not able to clear out excess hormones, and those get backed up in the body and keep recirculating. And that causes all kinds of issues like our PMS. So when we talk about the liver, what's going on, I think we need to be a little more specific about what's happening and what we're trying to address. Because as Alicia mentioned, milk thistle is great for toxins and poisoning. It's good at regenerating the cells and protecting the cells of the liver. What it's not good at is helping the liver do its job, which is what we most commonly see in practice. Livers that are overburdened and need support doing their liver jobs. So milk thistle is not going to cut it. And if you are going to use milk thistle for toxic burdens or liver protection, the dose is high.
The dose is high.
It's like 4 tablespoons.
Yeah. Of a not tasty seed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool herb. It just does something very specific, and we keep trying to think it does other things.
Well, and I think that it's one of the, even with all of the studies that have been done, we don't really know exactly how it works. A lot of the studies that have been done on rats. They've been done in petri dishes, and I am not a rat and I'm not a petri dish, and neither are you. So we do where our livers work a little bit differently than, say, a rat's liver. And we want to say that we know all the things about all the things, that we really understand how this thing works, especially, 50 clinical studies. Well, actually, we still don't have it all figured out. The only time I've ever recommended milk thistle is when I know somebody is poisoning themselves in some way or ingesting toxins in some way. Like if I have someone who, for some reason, has to take an ibuprofen, you could suggest that they take some milk thistle with the ibuprofen to mitigate the damages of the ibuprofen. Or somebody who has, I won't even get into all of that. That's the only time that I've ever recommended it. Any other issues that somebody would have with the liver, I have other things that can do the things I want them to do, and I think do them better at a lower dose at a better price point.
You touched on something so important. You mentioned we have over 50 studies done on milk thistle, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were more.
Oh, well, that was 20, this was 20 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, I would venture to say that there's at least hundreds, if not thousands, studies on milk thistle at this point, and we are too arrogant to admit that plants are complicated. They are so complex that after hundreds of studies, we don't have the answers, and we can't necessarily figure out how they operate, and we don't want to admit that. And I think we just really have to honor like how complex the human body is and how complex plants are. I, if we can get that out of the way, I think we can use these plants a lot more effectively.
Well, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm gonna agree with you and reiterate, because we've said this over and over again, that there is a difference between whole plants and extracts. And most of the studies that have been done on milk thistle have been done on silymarin, which is like the go-to standardized extract of milk thistle. It's not going to work the same way that milk thistle will work. It's going to work the way silymarin works, all on its own. These are different things. Those constituents that are those 3,000 constituents in the plant, they work synergistically together. When you isolate one of them, it's going to act differently. Okay, so next was kratom.
Yes, kratom actively freaks me out. I'll admit, I find it to be freaky. You can go in, you buy it at gas stations, and it's sinister.
Well, this is what I'll say about that. And I have said this to people who tell me who've had issues with things like kratom or, Delta 8, that if you have anxiety or you're suffering from pain and you need relief, you do not purchase your all natural remedy from the same case that holds the crack pipes.
That's a good mantra to live by.
If I'm going to go to a store that sells crack pipes and cigarettes, that's not where I'm purchasing my herbal remedies. Just a general rule of thumb.
Everybody write that down.
Yeah. Alicia's rules for life.
No, that's I've never thought about it that way, but like when you are literally going into a smoke shop or a gas station or somewhere that does sell kratom, like, yeah, that is not a place for getting your healing or your medicine.
It's not a healing
like,
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, very much so.
That's where I see kratom. It's usually in the same case as the brass knuckles, the cheap perfume, and the crack pipes.
Yeah. Well, I think enough is said. That's why we don't use it in clinical practice. We're not going to send our clients to the smoke shop or gas station.
Well, I mean, I have a few things to say about kratom, and it does. I have. I try not to be biased. I really do believe that every plant has value, and I don't want to write anything off because, and I want to always keep an open mind. I want to always think that I have more to learn and that I don't know every little thing about every plant. What I do know about kratom, what I found through, I did a little bit of research in preparation for this episode, was that it works on pain much like an opiate does. And opiates aren't as available as they used to be. We are in an opiate crisis in this country. Opioids are a problem. They are not a if I could go out on a limb and comment on a pharmaceutical, I will say that opioid painkillers are not a long-term solution for pain relief. I think we've learned that over the last 30 years. Kratom, in many ways, looks like it might be a better option because it doesn't have the respiratory depressant action that things like morphine and hydrocodone and what's the other one? Methadone has. But I also don't think that it's a long-term solution for pain relief. If you are in pain and you need to take something that blocks the pain receptors on a daily basis for your pain, then you're ignoring the deeper issue. And as someone who works hand in hand with the recovery industry, that is a big industry in Houston, Texas. It is a problem now because kratom is not a scheduled substance, that people are so addicted to it and they have horrible withdrawal symptoms when they try to get off of it. And they try to go into a detox or a rehab to get help with the withdrawal symptoms, and they can't get the help they need because it's not a scheduled substance. So their insurance will not cover detox for it. And I don't ever want to suggest anything to any of my clients that might land them in a detox when they can't take it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if that's common knowledge. I knew about kratom for years, and I only within probably the last year or so learned about how bad the withdrawal actually is. The withdrawal effects of kratom are compared. I'm actively working with a guy right now that's withdrawing, and it's no joke. And it's addictive. I believe it to be addictive in the body. And we don't necessarily, I think there's probably some cultures that have used it traditionally in some context, but we don't have a lot of traditional use behind it or clinical use behind it or scientific use behind it that says that this is a good, effective option. I know some people in the herbal community are fans, and that's okay, to each their own, but the withdrawal effects are enough to make it something I would never use or take or suggest or recommend.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, just by virtue of it being a plant, for example, it's not going to be as habit forming or as addictive as, say, a hydrocodone pill that's been created in a lab. But it's still going to be habit forming. And when I was researching it, it kind of reminded me of what's that stuff that they chew in India? Pan? It's the betel leaf. Is it the betel leaf or the betel nut? Or
I always get them confused.
yeah, well, so that or in so that's something it's something that working class people chew in India to give them stamina and pain relief, right? Just like coca leaves, the leaves of the coca plant that, they make cocaine out of, that in South America, the working class will chew these things for a little energy boost and a little bit of a euphoric feeling. And that's what kratom is used for in places like Thailand. Working class people use this to get a little bit of an energy boost, a little euphoric hit. It is basically it's a recreational drug the same way cigarettes are used in our culture traditionally.
Uh,
The panwala, yeah.
it looks like that's the betel nut.
Well, yeah, it's a leaf. It's got stuff inside of it. They chew it, turns their teeth black. There's signs all over Little India here that say no pan because they don't want you spitting it on their sidewalk. It'll stain the sidewalk. But it's I think that's what kratom is traditionally, is more of a the working it's the energy boost, the cheap, easily available energy boost of the working class. It's not medicine.
Yeah. Not in the context that we work with it, no.
Any more than tobacco is medicine.
Well, that's a whole other topic because there are people I know that use it medicinally in like rituals and stuff, tobacco, like just pure tobacco. And I think that's where, like, I'm going to circle back to your point that it is important to keep an open mind, and that in certain contexts, anything can be poison or medicine, and it matters about the context. And these are generalization about what's going to help the most people, I think. I'm sure there's use cases and edge cases out there where kratom's a good choice for a person in a certain situation, or tobacco is a good choice for a person in a certain situation. But on the whole, those are outliers.
Yeah. They're, like you said, they're outliers on the whole. And it was years ago, there was like a Netflix documentary about kratom and how it was just this wonder drug. And I think that's what I want to be clear about, is that it's just not that. Like, if you're in pain or you have depression, there are a lot of other options that are safer.
Yes. And that aren't going to have nasty withdrawal effects. That I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Withdrawal effects. And we won't even get into, dare I say, I believe that it increases testosterone. That's what my clinical insight is, that people who take it long term have what looks to me to be side effects of increased androgens.
That's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to let you take this next one.
What is the next one? We were going to talk about Tulsi, right?
Holy
Holy
basil.
basil.
That sounds cool. Holy basil.
It's, well, and I think, do people know that holy basil is Tulsi? Tulsi is holy basil.
They do now?
Okay. I'm making sure that I'm correct. I'm not making that up. So what do we say about Tulsi? What do we hear about Tulsi? It's an adaptogen. It's good for, I hear it for depression, right? Like it's mood elevating.
I have people drinking it at nighttime for sleep.
Nighttime for sleep. Okay. So Tulsi is incredibly popular right now. I almost just want to go into the thing that we were talking about earlier. Should I?
Yeah, let's give them context.
Okay, so Tulsi is really popular because of Organic India. Organic India story is really the tale of how one little known Ayurvedic plant leapt from temple courtyards in North India into wellness store shelves around the world. This really all started because there were a couple of guys who settled in Lucknow to live on a quest to live in service of Mother India. And what they saw bothered them. They saw a lot of chemical intensive farming, vanishing herbal traditions, and struggling smallholders. This inspired them to found Organic India in 1997 with a vow to sell only herbs grown 100% organically and to pay farmers fairly. So this is a beautiful story, right? These are good intentioned people wanting to do something good for the earth, something good for the land, for Mother India, and for the struggling farmers in India. So their first crop that they chose was Tulsi because it was considered sacred in Ayurveda and Hindu worship, but it was worth little on the commodity market. So in 1998, the founders met a Dr. Narendra Singh, who was a renowned Lucknow physician and researcher who had spent 4 decades documenting Tulsi's adaptogenic, anti-stress, and immunomodulatory properties. His lab work and clinical papers became the scientific backbone for Organic India's forthcoming Tulsi tea line. We've all seen Organic India's Tulsi tea. It's on every like any health food store or health food leaning grocery store that has a tea aisle has Organic India's Tulsi tea. So Organic India started contracting a handful of growers, guaranteeing to buy their harvest, supply organic seed, and cover certifications cost. As demand grew, it started with 2 farmers and went up to 2,500 plus farm families and has converted more than 10,000 acres to regenerative organic cultivation. By 1999, the founders were hand stuffing tea bags in Lucknow and sampling them in ashrams, Fabinda stores, and yoga conferences. This is actually a really cool story. And the Tulsi craze caught fire because Dr. Singh's studies and later peer-reviewed papers on holy basil's cortisol-lowering effects gave journalists an evidence hook. There was a yoga culture crossover as American yoga exploded in the 2000s. Tulsi tea was sampled at Kripalu, Wanderlust, and other festivals. There was a film made on it called Tulsi, Queen of Herbs, that documented both the plant's lore and Organic India's farmer network, spreading the story further. By the late 2010s, adaptogenic, there's that word, had become a buzzword, and market analysts now track a US $1.5 billion adaptogenic drink sector in which holy basil regularly appears alongside ashwagandha and functional mushrooms. Then the pandemic tailwind from COVID-19 pushed immunity and stress relief to the forefront. Global organic herbal tea sales hit US 3.5 billion in 2024, with blends featuring adaptogens and Ayurvedic herbs flagged as the fastest growing niche. So with more than 200 SKUs sold in 40 countries, Organic India's Tulsi line remains its flagship. So that's why Tulsi.
Well, I think that's such an important story. I could see how Alicia and I could easily come off as some herbal conspiracy theorist or something, but I think it's really important to shine light on how these things do become trendy. In this case, it was to save a village in India, and it did that. And that's really, really cool. But in doing so, it threw this herb to the forefront of adaptogens and herbalism and the thing that people reach for to get results. But it's marketing. It's marketing. At the end of the day, Tulsi is a beautiful plant. It's a lovely tea. It has benefits, but it doesn't have the potency that we are marketing it to have. It's basil, guys. It's basil.
It's
We put
basil.
basil in our pizza.
And well, it's holy basil.
It's holy basil.
But I mean, that's and holy basil, Tulsi is a beautiful plant and it has spiritual undertones. Like they say that if you plant it next to other plants, it raises the vibrations of the plants, that it has sattvic qualities. It is a beautiful plant, but the things that it is touted to do, it does not do all of those things. And I think that it is a beautiful story. Organic India is a wonderful company that was founded on righteous principles. Their Tulsi tea line did an amazing thing for Ayurveda and brought a lot of these principles and ideas to the forefront of the American thought process and turned it from took something that was just a niche item and turned it into a pantry staple, which I think is really cool. I love that I can get Tulsi at every grocery store in town. But if we're talking about the trendiness of things, I just want to pull this up because I had looked it up because we do use Tulsi in Ayurveda, but we don't use it the way the mainstream media or mainstream social media seems to portray it. They actually use the seeds or they'll use the leaf in juice form. And the things that they use it for, it's used for cough.
It's a warming diaphoretic. It's great for the flu in high, high doses.
High, like like high doses.
And even so, it wouldn't be an A-list flu remedy for me.
Here we go. Loss of appetite, hiccup, cough, skin disorders makes sense with the warming diaphoretic, right? Asthma, shortness of breath. Ooh, spirit affliction. And again, not used in a little 1 ounce tea bag of dried leaf, either juice of the fresh leaf or multiple grams of the seed.
All right. That covers holy basil. Not to keep the episode too long, but here are a few quick honorable mentions for everybody. The first one is sea moss. This has gotten really popular for thyroid health, for minerals, for skin, for immune support. It's another one of those things where you go on the internet or you're at the farmer's market and you see the sea moss vendor. They're going to say this does 96 different things, but it doesn't necessarily do them very well. I consider sea moss to be survival food. It is rich in minerals, but it doesn't necessarily have any therapeutic teeth behind it. I don't think that it's something you could take and expect clinical results with any of the 96 things it does. It's a good nutrient to have in the diet. I don't think there's anything wrong with including sea moss in it, but as far as doing things and getting results, sea moss would not make the list.
Yeah. Also, I don't even know what sea moss is. I know that all of these, there's a bunch of these things, different kinds of seaweeds and things that grow in the sea that are high in minerals, and they're good for you because they have high mineral content. But none of them are anything that I would use therapeutically.
Don't you go to the farmer's market and you see like the sea moss people selling like a little jar of sea moss for like $40 and they like claim it'll help with like inflammation, brain health, thyroid support, cancer, like everything under the sun.
Yeah, I don't talk to people who are selling cure-alls because I try to stay out of controversy. I just, it's not going to be a good conversation.
Okay.
Anybody with a cure-all. Cure-alls don't cure all.
If they did, we'd have no problems.
You know, I mean, even there are plants that do a lot of things. Turmeric does a lot of things. It's an amazing plant. It really only does one thing better than anything else. There's a better choice for the other things that it does. What's next? We want to talk about.
I have Melissa officinalis lemon balm.
See, and I like lemon balm.
It's not that I don't like lemon balm, okay? Lemon balm has gotten really, really hyped for herpes outbreaks. It became a really trendy natural herbal remedy for herpes, but I think that the bottom line is the hype far outweighed the clinical effectiveness of lemon balm. I think it's a nice tea. I know you like it as a topical, right? For
I like
herpes?
the essential oil as a topical for herpes, and I think that it's because it's so mild. Because it's so mild, I like it for children. I like it as a relaxing antiviral for children. I think that once, because it's also, for sleep, anxiety, it's a relaxant, it's a sedative. Well, it's not really that sedating. And I think that most people in our culture who need some relaxing action need something stronger than lemon balm.
Yes. And I think if you have a viral herpes outbreak, it is a very mild antiviral, and it's not where I would put my money personally.
You want to hear a cool thing about lemon balm?
Yeah.
Like, totally not what they're talking about, but if you don't like to get bit by mosquitoes, if you make really strong lemon balm tea, and I say it means strong, like 30 grams, and drink 30 grams of lemon balm tea a day, the mosquitoes will stop biting you.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe it's not herpes outbreaks. They meant to put mosquito outbreaks. The internet got confused. Okay, yes, lemon balm. It's a cool plant. I think it's just a little overhyped in what it can actually do clinically, especially for herpes outbreaks, which can be a bitch. The last honorable mention I want to make was saffron.
I hear wonderful things about saffron, but it's so expensive.
It's so expensive. It has become so cost prohibitive because the dose has to be really high to get the effects. I think it works beautifully for the things it says it does at the right dose, which is high. Nobody wants to spend $400 on saffron a month.
Well, and then hope you're actually getting saffron because there's so much. It's also highly adulterated.
Yes.
So
Yeah. So that's another just beautiful plan. I think it does work, but there are other constraints that make it unpractical to actually use in a clinical setting.
there you go, and that's what I'll take. Golden seal. This came up in another episode. Golden seal is an amazing herb. It's antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. It's like a natural antibiotic. And 10 years ago, I used it a lot. Now it's cost prohibitive. It's been overharvested. It's been overused. And it is so expensive that I just never use it anymore.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just become cost prohibitive. Yes, unfortunately. Well, I think that's a good roundup. What do you think?
Oh, go ahead and talk about your comfrey.
Well, I don't want to get into all the comfrey controversy. Didn't feel like a quick
We should
topic.
do a controversial herbs episode
That would be a good
and
idea.
just talk about
I think,
all the talk about all of the controversial herbs that are toxic.
yeah. Okay, well, I'll just give you one cliff note for comfrey. It is a super cool, super powerful healing herb, but it's got some constituents in it that have potential liver toxicity. So if you go Google or look up things about taking comfrey internally, the internet's going to sound really, really scary. So it's something that I don't really use for those reasons. In certain situations, I definitely think that its healing power outweighs its potential harm, or potential effects, but it's become too controversial for my blood. And I can handle a high amount of controversy.
Yeah. Well, here we are. And I think I would have to do some research because I know there's different types of comfrey have higher concentrations of the PAs in them, but I think it's like because there's the Russian type and the American type, and you can do some research and find the ones that are less toxic. But it's just, yeah, it's something I've actually never used because I would either use plantain or aloe for almost anything that I want comfrey to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's a great and cool herb. It's just it's one of those things where people get spooked.
Well, this has been fun. I thank you for the topic because I learned some things. This forced me to kind of look up some of the things that I hear a lot about, but I don't use. When we started this, I was like, "What is maca?" It's like a potato or something like that. That was basically all I knew. And I think that we have that a lot of these things do have potential, and we will learn more about them as time goes on. But I think at the end of the day, if I have one message for our listeners out there, it's just please don't get your herbal medicine information on Instagram. Check out the ABC, check out the Herbalgram, go to the American Herbalist Guild, see what they have to say.
Yes, and remember, I mean, when I did a research for this episode, I just went on Instagram and typed in hashtags and saw what people are seeing, and a lot of the people promoting these things and talking about the 100 different benefits of things like maca, like milk thistle, they're usually selling it.
Oh, yeah.
They
They're
usually
always
have
selling
it.
something.
It's marketing, and so you really have to be like discerning about who you're getting your information from and what their objective is, because at the end of the day they want to sell things. They don't necessarily care if it gets the clinical results that you think it should get, and people end up blaming themselves over the products most times when the results don't come, I've noticed. So just be discerning in who you're getting your information from. All plants are good in the right context, and the goal here is to get clinical results when Alicia and I are working, and that is what drives our decisions. So if you have other objectives, then these herbs might fit into your life beautifully, and that's amazing. Keep doing it.
Yeah. Also, I say some of these things are they're what we call them lifestyle beverages.
Yeah, they're overall general wellness remedies.
Yeah.
They're not gonna help with the complex, the chronic, the deep-seated, deep-rooted issues.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lila. This
Okay.
has been fun.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Herbalism Uncensored. We're genuinely humbled by the love and support you've shown us. If you've been enjoying the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review if you feel called, and don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's with a question, a success story, or a topic you'd love us to explore in a future episode. And remember, both Alicia and Lila, that's me, run virtual clinics. We'd love for you to check out what we're up to. You can find Alicia's practice Holistically Correct at holisticallycorrect.com, and you can learn more about my work at the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic by visiting tvnhc.com. Until next time, be well, stay grounded, and keep healing.